In this video, I shoot a documentary project in Wales, go to a discovery meeting with my first prospective client since I've gone full-time in video production, and review my travel filmmaking setup. So I've moved back home and I'm redecorating my room with my dad. You can see I put those samples up on the wall over there. It's really weird seeing my room empty like this, but it's probably going to be a few weeks until everything's finished. And I picked up some new samples from the paint shop earlier. All of my stuff has actually ended up in the spare room here, just piled up on that desk and underneath. And I've actually reorganised my equipment trolley. I'll show that when I'm back in my room, probably in the next vlog. The main event of this video is a documentary shoot in Wales, filming for the Birch Collective. I had an internship with them, which has now ended, but I'm back shooting a film about their annual retreat out of the city with a group of young people from Bristol, so I'm stoked for that. The shoulder bag is getting heavy though. All of my kit is already at my girlfriend's place in Bristol, but I'm really worried about the return journey and how much stuff I already have, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And I'm back running again. I've literally had no time to do it at uni over the last few years, but I've started up again and I'm loving it. I'm training with my dad and a couple of friends in the local area, and I hope to return to parkrun this weekend. I want to show you how I've changed this book now page on my website. I was really happy having an integrated form. Makes it so much easier to book. It's in kind of bold at the end of the navigation tab at the top. But this form was just not cutting it. It had like basic information like your email, first name, company name, stuff like that. And it was like a basic inquiry form. But I've kind of made the decision to just add like a full project proposal, project management form onto this page, just because I thought there might be a scenario where someone fills out that first form, if they're a new client and I haven't worked with them before, I then say, great, let's work together, and then have to send them this form, which I was planning to make anyway. I just thought I'd integrate that into the website, but then give people the option to email in. This is the form here. I'm not going to go into loads of detail in this video, but I'll do a very quick walkthrough. So I've got here, please provide some more information about the project, just kind of saying what this is. I've just said it gives me an idea of the scope of work and to collect basic information for our agreement document, which is like contract. And then I've just put here, I can be hired as a freelancer or as a production company, in brackets, outsourcing to my network for larger jobs. And then I've put as well the basic services I provide are interview and B-roll, cinematography and photography. So I've got all the basic information I had before, so company name, but then I've put what are you looking to hire me for? So a freelance filmmaker, light and camera operator, photographer or editor. So it's really clear what my specific role is in this project. If it's part of a bigger project, then I know that immediately. Then I've also got what the end project is they're looking for. So what genre are we working within? Brand video, client testimonial, blah, blah, blah. This is probably more options than I want to have on there at the moment, but I want to keep things pretty open at this stage because there's not really a client that I want to turn away. I got so bored editing this, so these are the headings for the rest of the sections on the form, and if you're interested you can pause the video now or you can see it for yourself on my website. In the morning of the next clip, I sent off an RFP to make a series of climate films in Cambridge, a complete nightmare document and a bit of a long shot, but we'll see what happens with that. And next up, some editing work for Shout Out UK. I made this mixed media commercial for them last summer. This time around, it wasn't quite as exciting. Some fairly formulaic editing work, creating captions for 16 different versions of an educational animation. I actually managed to get this done on the train down to Bristol though. You can see these are the original English captions, and this here is the template I created to match the text style and timings for the 16 other videos. It's such a luxury travelling with just a duffel bag, and that's kind of becoming the topic of this video. How can I make travelling and just working in general the most comfortable for me, to make this sustainable long term and to allow me to stay happy and healthy? You'll see on the return journey that I had a very different experience. More on that later. The journey was actually so easy that I decided to go exploring. I don't usually get to leave the station, but I didn't want to get fined for catching an earlier train because I was half an hour early. So I wandered around outside Paddington in the sun. And shout out to the lady in the Moleskine shop in the shopping centre who gave me a free Snoopy bookmark. For the record, I was trying to buy one, but look how cute it is. If you couldn't tell, I'm a big Snoopy fan, and I like the hopeful little quote they've got on there. Definitely the most wholesome moment of this month. And this was my lunch spot. It's nice hanging out in London when you don't really have to be anywhere. And this is what Paddington looks like from the outside. I've been through this station a million times, but never seen it from this perspective. On the second train, I got Adobe Media Encoder to run all 16 exports off in a row. I have terrible memory, so this workflow is a lifesaver. When I got to Bristol, I realised I made a pretty stupid mistake ordering this grip head from CVP. As you can see, the light is hitting the light stand, so it doesn't actually allow me to get the light any higher up. I need to get a mini boom to get the panel out further. The only problem is I'm trying to do all of this while keeping my kit travel friendly. The call time in Wales was about 8:30, which meant I had to wake up at 6 to get the train so I'd be there on time. I actually ended up tipping my Uber driver because he'd been working all night, still came to pick me up as his last ride, and we had the loveliest conversation. I've never been in such a good mood at 7 in the morning. And then I was back at Temple Meads, even though I'd been there 12 hours before, and I got on the train to Wales. As you can see, I've got my travel kit down to one backpack, one light, and a tripod. I don't know how I make it work as a one-man band without a car, but I always end up making stuff which I'm proud of and looks surprisingly good, all things considered. And there is actually little compromise. I'm able to run V-mount power, an external monitor, and a zoom lens. The real issue is how taxing a shoot day is for me. A typical day is a combination of mental focus when speaking to the client and interviewing contributors, but also the physical impact on my body. Carrying all of this gear on foot, I'm left feeling defeated, even though I'm often doing the work that I love. Something needs to change. I ended up catching the end of the sunrise when I was waiting for my transfer at this little station in Wales. Look at that sky. What time is it? 7:24, and I'm the only person at this station, which is a bit weird. I've got 2 more stops left. My train gets to in about 10 minutes. And I got to take a taxi to where the actual filming venue is. But yeah, journey's going well so far. I enjoy travelling at this time. Obviously not getting up this early, but it's nice. Like, the roads are empty, you barely see anyone. It's ideal actually. And yeah, should be getting there for breakfast, which is nice. I am really hungry and I need a coffee. I forgot to say the station I was at was 7 Tunnel Junction, so I got this beautiful view of the crossing from the next train. I love travelling for work. This vlog has been like 90% yap, so let's look at some actual behind the scenes. I love this Peak Design bag because you can just open up the whole thing from the side to take things out. You can see that most of my kit is actually pre-assembled. For example, the monitor being rigged to the top handle. It just slides onto the NATO rail like so, and then the V-mount is already attached to the camera, so I can just throw on a battery and start shooting. This is all about helping to free up mental headspace, so I can start thinking about the story behind whatever I've been hired to shoot. I took this water bottle holder on holiday and actually ended up using it as a lens pouch for most of the trip. You can see the front pocket holds my DJI transmitter mic and a spare lens cloth, and the main compartment holds my wide lens, the Sony 10-18 f4. This means I don't have to carry a large bag around on set and can easily switch lenses mid-shoot. I would love to recommend this carbon fibre light stand. It's reversible, lightweight, and supposedly has a big enough payload to hold my F22C. Unfortunately, it broke within a couple of months of me buying it. It still functions enough for me to keep using it for the time being, but I need to replace this. I just can't find any viable alternatives right now. So, I was filming at this outdoor site by the forest with a load of cabins. I wanted a dedicated space to shoot interviews so I could switch people in and out easily and get the most out of the day, but as usual it was pretty cramped trying to make it work. I'm pretty happy with the final frame though. I brought my prime lens to the shoot, the Sony 55mm f1.8. This is by far one of the most value for money full frame Sony lenses on the market, but this has been sitting on my shelf collecting dust for months. I do think 55mm is the perfect focal length for shooting interviews though, so the plan was to have the tripod ready and switch to that lens when filming interviews and use my 28-70 and the wide lens I showed you for B-roll. You'll see in a moment, but I used the wooden beams on either side of the chair to create this almost in-camera aspect ratio. That sounds so stupid to say, but it really reminds you of where they are and is a great framing device. As always, I'm looking for the most depth behind my subject, and the field opposite this cabin seemed like a better alternative to a small space with white walls. I'm really glad I had the chance to record this clip. You can see that on a cloudy day, the f22 panel is definitely bright enough, though you do have to get it pretty close to the subject. The quality of light you get is always phenomenal, and let me remind you, I carried all of this kit onto a train and set it up in under half an hour. As I said, I was using the 28-70 for B-roll. This is me at 70mm stood on a picnic table to get a vantage point for a shot of this cabin opposite the kitchen. I kept shooting interviews periodically throughout the day. Bringing the prime lens was a great call. I think I was mostly shooting at f2. One of the biggest problems with shooting on fast lenses is you either have to stop down to make sure their whole face is in focus, or because the lens is soft wide open. But it definitely gives you a more premium look. As you can see in this clip, it's 80% client communication skills, keeping them happy and comfortable, and then 20% technical. The better you become at the technical side, the more present you're able to be, and the quality of your interviews will improve as a result. I was trying out these in-ear monitors, recommended to me by Cranky Cameraman. Again, a huge space saver in my bag. These ones are like 20 quid, and the quality is amazing. Because I was the only crew member, I only had one ear in, just to monitor the subject's lav mic. And these are a few random frames from the final video. I would have felt like I was cheating you if I didn't give you something, particularly these interview frames coming up. You can see what I mean about the physical black bars in these stills. The next work thing was a meeting back in Bristol with a financial planning firm. These guys will be my first proper client if I land this job, so super exciting times for my video production business. And the meeting went really well. They actually ended up giving me a branded umbrella, which ended up completely saving me from this awful weather. The job is a series of documentary-style testimonial films for some of their clients. I'm likely to be shooting in October and November, so I can't wait to share that on this channel. And then it was basically hanging out with my girlfriend for the rest of the trip. It's really nice to be able to combine travel for work with a weekend that I can make the most out of by staying for a few extra days on either side. For most of my jobs, I absorb the travel costs, so it makes sense to think like this. But my expenses were fully covered for the shoot in Wales, as I was doing it for a lower fee, so this really did feel like a proper holiday. You can see on the return journey, I have truly hit the limits with the amount of kit I can carry on foot. It's quite stressful actually, having to keep track of all of these different bags, and it really was a nightmare journey. There was a tube strike all week, so I had to travel across London on foot and on the bus with all of the camera kit I own on my back. You can see here the bus was completely packed, so I was squeezed into the corner for half an hour. Then it was another 10 minutes on foot from Euston. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if you take into account the walk to Temple Meads on the Bristol side, I felt truly defeated after the London leg. A bonus of walking through the city was that I got to have a look at the bags everyone was using. Different styles and setups to transport luggage of various sizes. I'm not kidding, this was literally all I was thinking about for the entire journey back. I had such a bad time travelling that the first thing I did when I got through the door was weigh myself wearing the backpack to make myself feel better about how tired I was. The problem with this bag is it's designed for everyday use, so I don't think its makers expected customers like me to fill it with 10.5 kilos of film kit. Yeah, this bag weighs 10.5 kilos. Crazy. Like, genuinely, I'm achy today. I woke up with a headache. I can't keep doing this. I've decided this is going to be the month that I'm going to sort it. The first month of freelancing. Let's make sure that when I work, because I like to pick up as much work as I can, I'm comfortable doing that. And I have good journeys and I enjoy traveling. It's not stressful having too many bags. I'm probably going to take the hit on buying a rolling camera bag like we talk about in this vlog. Put some stuff on my story yesterday, got some advice, but I still think this timber bag that I found looks really great. I called up Wex Photo Video, a camera shop here in the UK, and they've said they're able to get one in just for me to look at. So hopefully no obligation there. Okay, my laptop's about to die, but what I'm going to do is show you how I pack my camera backpack before I transfer everything into this rolling case. It'd be quite nice to have a record of that. I don't know why anyone would want to lug around a 10.5 kilo bag, but I mean, potentially for traveling and stuff like that, there is still use case for it. All right, I'm just going to whack everything on this sofa actually. So I can lay it all out for you. Down the line, getting a new tripod would be great as well. What's happened here with this head is the teeth have worn down. So I've had to mount my tripod handle on the left side and I'm right-handed. At the stage I'm at the moment, I can't really justify buying a whole new tripod just because of that. I've had this tripod since I was like 15 or something and I want to keep it going for a little bit longer. This contains all of my Amaran stuff. I've recently added this bag for all of the attachments that go on the softbox for this light. and I've now got a bit of neg and some crocodile clips if I do need to flag off a particular part of the light. This is my Peak Design everyday bag, I think it's called. I actually used this when I was at uni, just as a bag to carry my laptop and other things, and it's very modular in terms of what this bag can do. Again, with this bag, I was trying not to overload it. I think this is definitely its peak, although there is still space in here for some lightweight items, maybe like another mic pack. Basically, all my camera rigging goes in here, and I'll show you that now. I could kind of get my camera rigged up in there. It's not a massive rig, but it is quite long with the V-mount. But if I took off the V-mount and the monitor arm, the top handle with the monitor on, I could get the camera in there, and then all I'd have to do is pull out the camera, attach the top handle and the battery. So that was pretty good. To transport this monitor and top handle, I have this like wrap. I've talked about these before. I realised travelling with this monitor screen exposed, that was not a great idea. Yep, camera body, pretty much rigged down to the minimum, except this DJI adapter here, side strap, and we've got this tilter plate, which the V-mount, sorry, not tilter plate, a Arca Swiss plate on the bottom, which is attached to the tilter cage, and my V-mount system goes on. I think these are a really good budget option. I'd like to upgrade to, I know there's some core ones which look pretty good and reasonably budget friendly. I mean, this has all the same functionality. The only problem is you need to charge them the night before a shoot because they don't retain their charge very well. Over the course of a shoot day, it's not a problem. They work really well, but if you charged it up a few days before a shoot, you might have lost like 30% of the charge by the time you go to shoot. This is my primary lens, 28-70. And I actually have 3 lenses on the inside. As far as how this bag is packed, it usually comes with 3 dividers, and I've just taken one of them out and I have a big camera section, and then this is usually for personal items if it's a day shoot. This is my V-mount plate. Love it because it folds down like that. That's the bottom of the camera, and this is where the V-mount goes on, and this just opens up like that. Really compact. Again, with this new camera bag, I'll be able to basically put the whole camera in fully rigged up and not have to worry about that. But when I need to pack it down in a situation like this, that's great. 2 more lenses, the 55mm f1.8 that I mentioned. This is the Sony 10-18, good for like social content, getting really wide angle, or just like vlogging with a crazy vignette, but you can punch past the vignette and it's a nice budget option for a wide lens. It is far from optically perfect, but if you're not looking for a really clean look or just need a functional wide lens and want to be a bit cheap with it, then I do recommend that one. Everyone knows that matte boxes are useless, but I take it on every shoot where I want to look like I've got a nice expensive camera rig. And then lastly, things, my DJI Mic 2 set. Love this, swear by this. I'm going to buy another transmitter soon, so I can run 2 mics simultaneously, but I use this for everything. I'm using it for this video. And dust blower. I think I have some lens cloths somewhere in one of the hidden pouches of this bag. The way I usually open it is this way round, and then I use these pockets to store cable. Battery, I'll use these batteries when I get a gimbal and I'm running my camera on there, HDMI clamp and set of Allen keys. Boom, that's 10.5 kilograms. I think the culprits are, the camera body is pretty light, the cage makes it quite a bit heavier, but it's mainly the V-mount system. If I run this without V-mount, it's so light. Anyway, to wrap up my first vlog, which is somehow at 20 minutes already, I wanted to share how effective text-based editing is when working on the assembly edit of a long-form project. You can see here that Premiere auto-transcribed this clip, and then I'm able to highlight individual phrases and pauses to cut out any dead space. I love this because this is always the most monotonous part of any project. It's not perfect, but any tools that make this process that little bit quicker are very welcomed. It's also poetic that I passed my driving theory test this week, which I wanted to include at the end of a vlog mainly focused on the struggles of travelling on foot and on public transport. I woke up at 6 AM on Monday and got in a waiting list of 10,000 people to book a practical exam for 6 months' time. So I look forward to the day when I can chuck all of my camera and lighting equipment in the boot of a car.